Boy, that sure was a wild ride, wasn't it? Hello everybody, this is Toshi the Panda here, back at it again, and welcome to my full retrospective video of the Amazing Digital Circus. First off, glad to have you all here, nice to see ya, and let's get on with it. The Amazing Digital Circus has been a phenomenal web series for me to follow along with. I don't think any other indie show that I've seen on YouTube has grabbed me as hard as this one has. Not even any of Glitch's other shows, except for Knights of Guinevere, but that's a story for another day. But this show, it grabbed me by the hair and just would not let go, not even once. I was invested all the way through. Back in episode 1, I was like, you know, this is pretty interesting. I think I'll continue watching and see where it goes. And I did. And I enjoyed every second of where it went after that. Each subsequent episode was better than the last, which is something I've never had before in a show, because usually in other series I will have my least favorite episodes that I will point it out, like I did in my retrospective for season 2 of Hell of a Boss. But considering this show only had 9 episodes, it had 9 chances to really wow me, and it succeeded in every single one. There is not a single episode of this show that I outright dislike. There are episodes that I love more than others, but there's none that I outwardly disliked. I enjoyed each and every one. I just enjoyed some of them more than others. In fact, if you want my ranking for the episodes, I would put the finale at number 1, and at the bottom, I would put episode 1, just by virtue of it being the first episode, so it didn't really have much to throw at me except to introduce me to the characters in the world. That doesn't mean I hate it, it's just, you know, not the one I love the most. And in the middle, after episode 9, I would put episode 3. After that, I would put episode 5. After that, I would put 6. After that, 8. After that, 7. And then after that, episode 2, with 1 being at the bottom. That's my ranking for the episodes. But now let's get on to the main part of this video, what you probably want to hear. My overall thoughts on the characters, the story, everything else, what I liked and disliked, all that stuff. Well, let's first start off with the story, since that'll be the shortest thing to talk about. I read about somewhere online that this series was inspired by the short story I Have No Mouth That I Must Scream. I've never read that story, and I'm only vaguely familiar with the video game based off of it, because I saw it in a top 30 video of creepy video games you never heard of. And, well, it is a pretty interesting and dark story, and while the Amazing Digital Circus is also dark in its storytelling, it's not as dark as I Have No Mouth That I Must Scream. It's definitely much more lighthearted in a lot of aspects, a lot more emphasis on comedy too, whereas that story was just downright depressing from beginning to end. This one, you could tell that there's dark elements in it, but it kept me laughing throughout the whole way through. It was just funny. Like, I should just bring up the comedy, because this show has really good jokes. Like, really good jokes. Even the ones that aren't laugh out loud do get a good chuckle out of me. I could list off my favorites, but I'd honestly be here all day long, and I really don't want to waste time on something like that. Just know that I really enjoyed the writing in this show. It's very smart, very top tier. So now let's move on to the biggest top talking point of this whole video, the characters. The characters. I fell in love with all the characters in this show. Some more than others, but I really did. If you want to know who my favorite characters are, that would be, well, my top 3 favorite characters are Pomni, Jax, and Gangle. Those are my top 3 favorite characters. Not to say I don't like the other 3, but I do enjoy those 3 the most. Gangle because she's an adorable little artist, like myself, not getting biased here. Jax because he's a jerk. He's a jerk character, and sometimes I don't like those kind of characters, but there's always gonna be that one jerk character that I do like watching, like Bender from Futurama, the kind that are funny to watch. And also, he ends up getting more compelling later on, which is something I enjoy a lot. And Pomni, she is just the perfect main character, perfect best girl. Like, I really enjoy her. From the jump, she was just this jittery ball of energy who didn't know what the heck was going on, losing her mind and all that. But she gets so much character development throughout the series. She grows inwardly from being this nutty, almost like super anxious person who just doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know if she's gonna make it to the next day, to someone who is strong-willed, confident, someone who's there for others when they're at their lowest, who's not afraid to give up in difficult situations and will just keep pushing forward no matter how hard things get. That's the kind of character I love to see as a main character of any show, and Pomni just pulls it off really well. Plus, she has a really cute character design. Like, I'm glad they changed it from making her be a frog to being this cute little humanoid jester character, because it's a much better design, honestly. I've seen the original, it's not that great. But hey, we still got a frog character in the form of Ribbit, and she was really adorable. Just wish we got to see her more than that one flashback at the end of the finale. Seriously, I really wish, like... In fact, now that I've talked about how much I like the characters, I want to go into certain details and things about the show that were never answered that I really wanted to talk about. There are some lingering questions that never got answered at the end of the show. For starters, after we found out that everybody was just brain scans of real-life people and we got to see their real-life counterparts in their lives, my question was like, but wait, what happened to the IRL versions of Ribbit and Kaufmo? We never found out about them. They abstracted, but at least we found out that IRL Queenie is still okay. She's happily married to her real-life Kinger and they have 2 daughters. And then later on social media, we found out what happened to Scratch, his real-life counterpart. He died. Not surprising, in episode 8, it was revealed he had a brain tumor, so I kind of was wondering, well, what happened to him, the real-life him? Did he die? Did he get the tumor removed? What happened? Nope, he died. At least that question was answered. But, what happened to the real-life Ribbit and Kaufmo? Like, what are they doing? Ribbit, we found out in the flashback in episode 9 that she had cut ties with her super devout Mormon parents and never spoke to them again. I want to know, did her real-life self ever reconcile with her parents, or did she continue to go no contact? And what's Kaufmo's story? We never found out who he was before entering the circus. In fact, when it came to the relationship between them and Jax, Kaufmo kind of felt like a third wheel, honestly, because all the emphasis was put on Jax and his relationship with Ribbit, which I don't mind, because that was really, really compelling to listen to see their relationship unfold. Like when Jax first showed up to the circus and he was all like panicking and didn't know what the heck was going on, didn't really like how everything was. Ribbit was there to like ease him into it, like, you know, welcome him in, let him know how everything works, get used to everything. And then it was adorable, that scene where she finally got him to laugh. I'm guessing he probably was down the whole time that he first got in there, so seeing her get so happy and excited when she made him laugh, that was really adorable. Their friendship was really compelling to watch, and also compelling to find out just how it was that the friendship broke up. It was definitely really hard to watch, honestly. Like, listening to the relationship Jax had with his parents, I can't relate on that level because I have a really good relationship with my own mother, but when it comes to when Jax was talking about his dad, yeah, I can relate to that to some degree. It's not like my dad ever saw me as a disappointment, he just never saw me, and I never saw him, because he was just that kind of person. He was never really around, never really did much with me. Most he did was just pay child support, and that was it. I never really saw him much after that. And by the time I reached the age where he no longer had to pay, that was it. Never heard from him again. I can at least relate to Jax on that point of having an absentee father. It's just that I can't relate on the point of having a father who was disappointed in me because, well, he was practically never around since the time I was in diapers. So it's not like you can make a judgment about a person and call them a disappointment when they're not even walking or talking yet. But still. And you know, I just want to spend this next part gushing about Jax in particular because I put Pomni as my number 1 favorite character of the show, but Jax is number 2. I really enjoyed watching him the most. In the beginning, he just turned out to be the funny jerk who's always messing with people, telling funny jokes, and just being the funny fourth wall breaking guy that you always see in all these shows. But then later on, he gets more development. He gets more story to his character. We find out that he's not always the funny jerk that we all love to hate or just love to watch. He has some depth to him. And I'm sure you're all gonna wonder what my opinion is on Goose confirming that he's trans. And you know what? I'll just say right now, I don't have much of an opinion when it comes to transgenderism and all that other stuff. I don't 100% understand it, and I'm not going to assume I know everything about it because I don't. I'm not transgender myself. I identify 100% as a girl, but I will not judge anybody if that is the lifestyle that they have. And if I see characters that are like that in any form of media, well then, all that matters to me is whether or not they're a well-written character. What their sex and their gender is, it's not any of my business. I don't really care about that at all. When it comes to Jax, on the other hand, I think it's a neat detail to add to his character. In fact, it actually makes a lot of his character, like a lot of his flaws and all of his quirks, make a whole lot of sense. The fact that he's secretly a closet transgender girl actually makes a lot of his behavior make so much more sense. The fact that he only ever picks on the female characters, the fact that he got so worked up wearing the maid outfit, the fact that he put a lot of emphasis on the fact that his ears and tails are the pinnacle of masculinity, or this is peak male performance. Obviously, you could tell that this could be applied to a lot of things. It could be either a guy who's like super sensitive, shy, maybe, you know, the kind of sweet, shy, sensitive boy who's overcompensating being masculine and buff because he doesn't want to be seen as a wimp. But you could also see this as transgenderism. You could see this as maybe a closeted transgender girl who probably wants to come out and transition, but is trying to fight that because of what other people think. That's basically what Jax's character amounted to. He has his vulnerabilities, his insecurities, stuff inside of him that he tried to keep hidden because he was afraid of being judged for it. Because that's exactly what happened to him, well, to his real life counterpart anyway. He was judged for whatever sensitive topic he brought up to his mom, and she laughed in his face and insulted him. That kind of thing is applicable to real life because a lot of people have gone through stuff like that. You want to open up, you want to be vulnerable with people, but you're scared of the fact that they might mock you for it. And that's exactly what ended up crashing his relationship with Ribbit, because she didn't judge him for it. She openly listened to his explanation of his problems, and she accepted him. Like 100% accepted him. She even put her little bow tie on his head, probably indicating that she probably figured out that being transgender was the secret. And she said, "Your secret's safe with me." I thought that part was really, really sweet. Like, so sweet. And then it frustrated me when Jax immediately backpedaled when Kaufmo interrupted their cute moment and just told Ribbit, like, "Oh, that never happened. I didn't mean any of that. It was all just a joke." Gotcha, didn't I? And then after that, he just continued to push her away, and it was sad to watch, especially considering there's a big indicator that Ribbit actually did keep her promise. Because at one point when in the flashback sequence when Jax tells Kaufmo, "Hey, if Ribbit ever says anything about me, just know it's not true, got it?" Kaufmo just gives him this confused look and asks, "What?" It's a big indicator that Ribbit kept her promise. She never spilled his secret. And Jax didn't realize that. And he ultimately realized it too late, because by the time he actually worked up the nerve to even talk to her about it, she abstracted. That was just painful. Really painful. And then he goes on to do the exact same thing to Kaufmo, and he pushes Ragatha away. It was just really sad to watch. I mean, I was a little bit frustrated, but it's not like that got me to hate Jax, because I've never hated Jax, not even in the beginning when people were like, "Oh, he's the jerk character, but he's gonna be the lovable jerk character we always love, right?" And then he started just getting more and more like an a-hole in subsequent episodes, and they're like, "Oh, he's too much of a jerk. I don't like him anymore." No, I wasn't one of those fans. I liked Jax from beginning to end. Like, I didn't care if he got worse with his jerkiness. If anything, that just made him funnier to watch. Like, honestly, the best kind of jerk is the one that makes you laugh, okay? Even when they're doing, like, really, like, stuff like that, like being a bully and all that, it's important if they can still make you laugh at the end of the day. And Jack still made me laugh. I still found him funny. So I didn't hate him when he started being more of a jerk, because there was comedy centered around his behavior. And then later on, it started to get more compelling as we found out more about who he is as a person. So that only just made me appreciate him even more. I like characters like Jax, the kind that start off as being a prick, but later on, they have some level of depth to them. Although I would still like Jax if he didn't have any layers to his character. If he was still just supposed to be the funny jerk that all the other characters hate, but you, the audience, can appreciate. But I like him for who he is. And him being trans, that just makes the character even more interesting. Honestly, it brings a lot more sense to his character than I originally thought. Whew. so much about this show just really... And now let's talk about the animation. The animation is simply amazing. Like, this is the best 3D animation I've seen in a long time. And to think, this was made on YouTube. YouTube of all places. This wasn't made by some big multi-million-dollar company like Disney or Pixar or DreamWorks, any of those companies. This was made by a team of people who started a YouTube channel way back when, making videos of other things that I haven't actually seen. I haven't seen Glitch's other projects. And just all together, they come together and made this show with this amazing animation. And to think, the main source of their budget is selling their merchandise. But with that money, they've been able to make really good shows. And this one in particular. Like, the animation, I noticed, have gotten better with each subsequent episode. Because in episode 1, it was a little rough. It wasn't bad. It looked good for what it was, but you could tell it was a little bit rough. Like, they were still getting their footing. By the time we got episodes 2, 3, 4, so on, the animation just kept steadily getting better and better. Like, the models were getting more smoother, more refined. The lighting was tuned up a bit. It was less saturated with all the colors, but you still had to get all the bright colors there, but we got more environments where the colors were more muted, toned down, aside from the bright, colorful circus, and it was easier on the eyes, and we just got, like, interesting character designs for all the background characters, all the NPCs and stuff like that, and it just looked a whole lot nicer. By the time we got to episode 9, the finale, the animation was top tier, stellar, like, so brilliant. That one sequence where Pomni jumps into Strax's mind after he extracts, it's just amazing. Those bright flashing colors, it's like a psychedelic trip. It was so amazing to see. I keep using that word, but it's apt, isn't it? Yeah, this show was just a wild ride. So great to see. Are there any things I didn't like? Well, I guess they're just nitpicks. Like, there are a bunch of, like I said, there was a bunch of questions I had that didn't get answered. Like, what happened to the real life Ribbit and Kaufmo? What happened to the CNA company? Like, that company was building generative AI. Well, not generative, creative AI, according to Kinger. And I guess they succeeded when they made Kane and the blue AI that he absorbed. But what happened after that? Did the company just shut down and that was it? Because apparently Pomni's real life counterpart goes to abandoned places and makes videos based off of it. I've seen YouTube videos like that. So apparently she found this abandoned building, put on the headset, and that's how she ended up in the virtual world. But what happened to the actual company? Did everybody just disband? Did they leave? Why did they just break up like that? Where did they go? And also, the computer, the digital circus is on. It's still running? How is there electricity inside of an abandoned building? You'd think that since there's no one paying the electric bill anymore, it would shut off, and therefore the computer where the digital circus is located in would shut off too. Which, come to think of it, would that end up destroying the world if the computer they were in was turned off? That's another big glaring question, because I had theorized after watching episode 8 that they would escape through the void, like the void has the way out of the circus, but then episode 9 basically confirms that everybody is just a digital copy of a real life person, so there is no escaping the circus. So fine, but that's fine. At the end, they decide to make the circus their home that they're gonna stay in for the rest of, their existence. But I have to ask, this computer that the digital circus is on is somehow running in an abandoned building with no electricity. So my question is, what happens if the electricity that's keeping that computer powered ends up shutting off randomly? Does that destroy the world? Does it kill everybody? That's a kind of question I haven't gotten the answer to, among others. But again, that's mostly nitpicks. It's not really a big glaring issue with the series as a whole. I mean, yeah, it's an important question, but it's not that important. And it doesn't ruin my overall enjoyment of the show, because I really, really enjoyed this show. From beginning to end, this series was amazing. And just because it's ended doesn't mean I'm gonna stop enjoying it. There will be time and time again where I will go back and rewatch the episodes. I will watch other people's reactions to the episodes. I will continue to make fan art on DeviantArt and fanfiction on fanfiction.net. In fact, I'm currently working on a fanfiction at this moment, an AU taking place at the finale that involves, to give you the spoiler-free version of my fanfic, it involves Jax essentially coming back to life from being abstracted and basically getting a second chance to live again with everybody in the circus. That's all I'll say for now. I'm gonna put the link to the story in the description so you can go and read it for yourself. And I'll also put a link to my DeviantArt account so you can go check out my artwork, just in case there's any of you in my subscriber pool that hasn't seen my artwork or read any of my fanfiction. I mean, I don't have much in the way of Digital Circus fanfiction, at least not on fanfiction.net. I have several on my DeviantArt account, so you can go and see them. At the point, I only have 2 on my fanfiction.net. One of them is a short story, by the way, and this other one that I'm talking about, I'm still currently working on it. I've only gotten to chapter 4 as of this recording. But yeah, I'm still going strong making content like that, because just because the show is over doesn't mean I'm gonna stop enjoying it. I'm gonna keep enjoying the show for what it is, and keep loving it no matter what. So to everybody at Glitch, thank you so much for producing and making this amazing show. Thanks for making all that adorable merch, even though I can't buy any of it right now, but I will work on getting my hands on some of that. I really want those Jax pendants. I really do. But anyway, thanks for making such an amazing series. I can't wait to see all your other series that are coming too, like Knights of Guinevere. I saw the pilot episode of that and I can't wait to see the rest of it. And to Gooseworks herself, because she's the one who created this whole world to begin with. To Gooseworks, thank you so much for bringing possibly one of the best indie animated shows of all time. The Amazing Digital Circus is simply phenomenal, and I can't not thank you enough for creating this series. You are an amazing, talented woman, and I look forward to see what new stuff you come up with next. And no, I'm not gonna pester you for a second season of Digital Circus. I enjoyed the story for what it is, and I know it's over now, it's done, you can move on and do something else, and I will appreciate it nonetheless. Your series is still here for me to enjoy, and I'm going to appreciate it for what it is and what I've always loved about it. So thank you, Gooseworks, thank you, Glitch, and thank all of you, my subscribers, for sticking around with me for this point and listening to my videos, listening to me rant, watch my AMVs, all that other stuff. I'm still gonna be making content, just don't know what. I don't have like a consistent schedule or anything. It's not like I do this to get money either. This is more of a hobby. But I appreciate all of you for liking, subscribing, and leaving your comments. So look forward to whatever new stuff I post next. This is Toshi the Panda signing out. See y'all next time.